Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is a video request, and that will be people take too many stupid risks in life. Good topic. So this refers to unnecessary and potentially dangerous actions that have high likelihood of causing harm with little to no benefit. There's many examples that I can refer to, and I'm going to get into in this video. I'm sure you guys already can think of a bunch. One that comes to mind right off the top of my head is driving, like dangerous driving behaviors. Like, how can I say, like texting. You know how even here in Canada they banned the drivers from using their cell phones. So if you even get caught with it in your hand, even if you're not using it or doing anything with it, you can get a big fine. There's people who run red lights. There's driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. I think even here you can't, even though marijuana is legal in Canada, you still can't be driving under the influence. Now, these are risks for sure, and stupid ones. But the question is, why do people do it? You know, I did a video talking about stupid people the other day. This would be another good one. You know, stupid people, or just inconsiderate and just don't give a shit about other people. I never understood that one. Even in Brazil, where I currently live, so many people drink drunk, and it's far worse than North America. It's like one in 3 people probably drive drunk, at least in Rio. Another stupid risk would be ignoring safety precautions, like not wearing a seatbelt, climbing unstable structures. A lot of these are also, by the way, done by like teenagers. I don't know if you guys remember when you were a teenager or a young child, but you kind of feel like you're invincible. Specifically the teenagers. You feel like nothing can happen to you. No one thinks about death or, getting injured. That's why they do a lot of these stupid things. I would say a majority are done by teenagers. Sure, adults have their fair share, but teenagers do a lot more stupid things than take unnecessary risks and things like that more than adults. I would hope. I'm just seeing certain things that I can see here because it's a lot to remember, things I wrote down. Yeah, this is another one. Extreme stunts without proper training. Teenagers, but people do that. Like jumping off high places. I guess bungee jumping without going through the proper, steps of how to do it. You always get those teenagers, by the way, who like, if they have a pool, I've seen videos online, it's just, they'll jump off and do like a somersault into the pool, even though it's like completely dangerous and they could break their neck. You see all kinds of things like that. Substance abuse related risks, like taking excessive amounts of drugs and alcohol. Mixing substances. These are just absolutely stupid risks. You have to keep in mind, when people are doing drugs and alcohol and things like that, in a lot of cases, they really don't have any respect for their own life and possibly others. I remember this one guy, it was a few years ago in Canada somewhere. I can't remember where it was. If I find the article, I'll put it here. But he was like coming back home. He was a wealthy guy, driving a fancy car, practically under the influence of alcohol, and caused a major accident. He basically like killed the whole family. I don't know how many survivors there were or whatever, but he survived only with a few scratches, and just absolutely sickening how so many people died. And this is, another example of how fucked up this place is. This guy does such a terrible thing. Innocent people die, and I don't know what his sentence was. I think he was sentenced to jail for 15 or 20 years. I don't know what it was. But I'll post the thing here. But I mean, it's very simple. If you drink, you don't fucking get in the car. And it's most of the time the person who is under the influence survives, and the other people die. It's just, I've seen it time and time again. Another one is unprotected sexual activity. This happens a lot, and which can cause, disease. Obviously, you can get like an STD and possibly give the other person STD if the other person doesn't have an illness. Just complete irresponsibility. But also there's getting pregnant, and we've talked about this. I talked about the antinatalism thing. This is like the antithesis of antinatalism, where you just don't even wear protection. And how many people do you think were born because it was an accident and the person didn't wear protection, because they were probably drinking as well, and someone's born, someone's has been conceived? It's humanity is so fucked. Ignoring medical advice, delaying medical treatments. I kind of, some things I take with a grain of salt when the medical establishment says that, but certain things are common sense, certain things aren't, but you gotta, do what's best for you. Some people don't take one example is when they're on antibiotics, and you know how you're supposed to take the whole thing, even if you're feeling better or whatever. Some people get off of it, and then the bug comes back even stronger. That's one. Engaging in risky behaviors for social validation. This is a big one because you see it on social media all over the place. Performing dangerous stunts to gain attention on social media. Participating in reckless activities to fit in with a group. Oh, big time. A lot of people want to show off. They want to, get the clicks, get the likes. So they'll do stupid things. It's not just even dangerous activities. It's just like stupid things too, which can be risky to your, I guess when people see you in public, they might not like what you do, and then it may cause a problem for you. I'll come back to that because I have something else to add to it. I'll say it now because it's like lewd activity, lewd behavior in public, in places you don't really know. Like let's say if you go to another country and you start shooting your mouth off in public and making fun of the culture or the people or whatever, do you think people are going to like that? So that's pretty reckless too, when you're unfamiliar with the location, the customs. That's pretty risky. Depends on where you go around the world. Some cultures don't really care, but some do. For example, if you were to go to a Islamic country and you start talking shit about Muhammad, though I disagree, I think you should be able to say whatever you want, but people, that's just the mentality in those places. You have to be careful. Another thing I actually wanted to mention was out in public, if you're jaywalking or not following the signage. I see a lot of people jaywalk, and I'm kind of not against it. I don't think it's that risky, so long as it's like you can see clearly on both sides where the traffic is coming. I don't have a problem with that one. It could be dangerous if you have a blind spot and you can't see a car coming or a truck or whatever. Then yeah, jaywalking, you have to pick and choose when it's safe to do so. But I still recommend obviously crossing at the crosswalk. So another stupid risk that people take is financial. Now you get people who will gamble or do day trading and things like that. And they basically put themselves in such debt that they thought that they could risk, investing in, penny stocks or whatever it is, and they lose a ton of money because first of all, they have no experience in doing it. I've heard of some stories. I know some people who do this sort of thing. You have to really know what the hell you're doing when it comes to investing, especially if you don't have the capital to back it up. You get into bad debt, you can get screwed. You can ruin your life when it comes to finances. Unfortunately, we're controlled by this crazy hijacked financial system, and you don't want to make very poor decisions when it comes to investing. I invest in some stocks. I would always go with the safe bet kind of thing. I don't do day trading. I don't know much about it. But you can lose a lot of money in a very short amount of time. My stocks that I buy is usually dividends, and they're long-term, very strong blue chip stocks. So that's what I would suggest when it comes to investing. Avoid the unnecessary risks. Now, some of the unnecessary risks or stupid risks people take would be like, I mentioned it earlier, bungee jumping, skydiving. That's some neighbor drilling. But those don't have a high risk of incident. Generally, you'll go with like a trained person and things like that. I personally I did a hang gliding thing years ago. Everything has risk in life. You can't live in this reality or whatever without any risk. That's the one thing I will say. There's always risk in everything you do. You just have to sort of evaluate it and do risk assessment, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people don't have, common sense skills or critical thinking skills to assess whether it's worth it or not. I personally don't want to do skydiving. I think that for me personally, it's too risky. I'm a little bit afraid of heights, but it still has been done many, many times, and there has been very few fatalities when it comes to that. But I think a lot of people do really take some stupid risk. For example, would you go driving when it's bad weather? The bad weather's coming, and people ignore it, and then they wonder why they get into accidents and stuff. Sure, sometimes you can't avoid it, and you have to do what you got to do. I totally get that. Now, I think also when you're evaluating certain risks, you have to do this proper decision making. You can't just go into things willy-nilly. A lot of people do that, and I think that's what they get themselves into a lot of problems. Probably one of the biggest risks I've ever taken was I went into a pretty poor neighborhood in Brazil, doing like a vlog or whatever, but I had a guide, and I did evaluations and I researched about it. I know that these places are dangerous, but I go in sometimes and I risk it. This fucking person's drilling or something. So you have to evaluate each situation, which again, a lot of people don't do. And I'm sure there's tons of other, things that people do that are high risk and they shouldn't probably do. But you also have to keep in mind, everyone gets to decide for themselves. The one thing that I will say is an absolute no is drinking and driving and doing drugs or whatever under whether it's driving or operating heavy machinery and things like that. That's definitely something that I will never, ever accept, and I'll never understand why people do it today. Let me know what your biggest risk was in your life, and if other things that I haven't mentioned, other stupid high risk things that people do that is baffling. So thanks for watching as usual, and we'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye for now.